Support WrestleTalk!
Thank you for your support on Patreon, El Seguente Top Model de Gran Bretaña, Phil Stopford. Braun Strowman is pulled from the Money in the Bank match. Bray Wyatt finally unveils his terrifying final form. And the mid-card of evil grows stronger every week. And has Dean Ambrose's AEW debut been leaked? Click the timestamps in the video description below to go straight to any of those stories. I'm Ollie Davis. Give us a subscribe, press the thumbs up button, and answer our question of the day in the comments. Who do you think will win the men's and women's Money in the Bank matches? Because I'll be replying to people from out of nowhere. And click the eye above my head to give your rating of the show, where you can choose from Rawsome, Core, Average, Poor, and Rawful, as I review the 13th of May 2019 edition of Monday Night Raw. Miz TV opened the not-so-live show from the UK to hype his Money in the Bank match with Shane McMahon this Sunday, where sadly, the stipulation is just a steel cage and not a ladder match with Miz Dad suspended over the ring. And then we got our first of this week's wild cards, Roman Reigns. There was a nice character moment here where the Miz started to go back into his old fame-hungry ways, telling Roman they should star in a buddy movie together, when Reigns said he's only here to talk to the new Miz, prompting Miz to cut a great promo on Shane, which led to the On the Shane himself to come out. Is he a wild card too, or just a McMahon? I'm already confused. It was all just a dastardly distraction for Shane's mid-card of evil, Bobby Lashley and Elias, who I'm also guessing is a wild card, to attack Reigns and Miz, and before you know it, holla holla, we got ourselves a tag match, players. Shane caused the DQ just when Miz was about to make the hot tag, after which the babyfaces stood tall following a brawl. Mojo Rawley debuted his new taser face gimmick next on the actual show rather than a throwaway clip on YouTube like last week, where he quickly beat Apollo Crews, who is a SmackDown guy. What a wild card! And then we got our fourth with Charlotte turning up for the dual contract signing with Becky Lynch and Lacey Evans. It was good to see Becky being really over with the London crowd, but I thought Charlotte's promo was awkwardly scripted, just full of clumpy buzz phrases like baddest woman on the planet and you call yourself Becky Two Belts. Nobody talks like that. Thankfully, this went the way all wrestling contract signings go, with Becky being put through the table by Charlotte and Evans, who then posed with the belts they're fighting for this Sunday. Nothing spectacular, but a solid segment to build their Money in the Bank matches. The same can't be said for Baron Corbin versus Ricochet, where it doesn't matter how much of an incredible high flyer you are, even Ricochet can't escape the pull
of Baron Corbin's mid-card vortex.
Within just a few months, WWE have flattened out one of the most exciting wrestlers in the world to a high-level enhancement talent to tall people, a position formerly held by Finn Balor. In a lame attempt to get some of Ricochet's heat back, Baron then stupidly tried to climb a ladder to unhook the Money in the Bank briefcase 6 days before the match even started, and Ricochet pushed him off. To actually achieve that pay-per-view hyping visual atop the ladder, Baron should have taken a page from Alexa Bliss's book and ruined someone's character to get there. Bliss was originally scheduled to take on her fellow women's Money in the Bank participants Naomi, Natalya, and Dana Brooke in a fatal four-way here, but she'd lost her wrestling gear on the airline. Enter the now suddenly sane Nikki Cross, the once "come play with me" Nikki Cross, the creepy demonic smiling Nikki Cross, who just walks into shot like another wooden soap opera actress just happy for the chance to compete. She'll take Alexa's place in the four-way tonight because, boy howdy, isn't wrestling in the WWE just swell. It's an awful betrayal of a character that hasn't even had a chance to establish herself on the main roster yet. But what's even more frustrating is that she was back to being insane Nikki for the match, further confusing what her character is supposed to be. The four-way itself was actually pretty fun, with the literal high point being Dana's crossbody off a ladder. Nikki ended up winning by pinning Natalya, meaning the only person not in the pay-per-view match this weekend won. The post-match angle returned Cross to a sane again persona, holding the ladder so Bliss could pose at the top with the briefcase, implying they're just going to do the same Alexa manipulates a friend storyline we've already seen with Mickie James and Nia Jax. Rey Mysterio took on Cesaro in a really good TV match next. Cesaro might still very much have Sheamus's entrance music, but he's still an excellent singles wrestler. Rey rightly won as he's fighting for Joe's US title this weekend, but it proves Cesaro could be a really solid upper mid-carder if WWE only pushed him consistently. Revival said they're going to put a stop to the Usos humiliating them. Good luck with that. Your contracts expire in 2020. And then, after 4 weeks of excellent Firefly Funhouse segments, Bray Wyatt finally unveiled what he's been working on. After starting off in the usual unsettling way, with Rambling Rabbit crudely taped back up after being eaten last week, Bray went full dark as the cutesy Firefly Funhouse set morphed into a hellish, creepy room with Wyatt's new form standing in the middle. A demonic Beetlejuice with a Mercy the Buzzard-inspired mask, a look that's simultaneously terrifying and awesome. With his new look finally revealed, hopefully that means we'll see him in the actual ring on next Monday's post-Money in the Bank show. Now don't screw it up, WWE! WWE took a different tack to promoting AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins, having backstage interviews with them instead of any go-home angles. This allowed them to play archive footage of Seth and AJ wrestling 15 years ago, where Rollins said he looked up to Styles back then, but come Sunday, it'll be the other way round, because he's grown taller since then. And the main event went to a last-minute switch of the men's Money in the Bank participants. Sami Zayn convinced the Omni-Shane to book him versus Braun Strowman in a Falls Count Anywhere match, because the Omni-Shane can book matches on Raw, I guess, with Braun's Money in the Bank spot on the line. It was a smart move, as Zayn had a plan. The gravitational pull of the mid-card of evil. Both Corbin and Drew McIntyre attacked Braun at various points, eventually teaming up to give Sami the win and taking out their most fearsome competitor this Sunday. It makes the lineup much more exciting, as Zayn built his career on ladder matches, but it's just the latest kayfabe misfire for Strowman, not something he needs while trying to rebuild after his terrible 2018. And not even putting Sami through the announcers table to close the show will help that. Bray's reveal, Sami and Money in the Bank, and a really good Cesaro versus Rey Mysterio match, I rather enjoyed this episode, but maybe that's because my standards have been set so low in recent weeks. Therefore, I award this Raw a very cautious average. Now over to Luke with the news.
Great review as always, Ollie. Yowie wowie. Over the weekend, it was reported that a potential name for WWE's third show in Saudi Arabia will be Sands of Time. But sadly, there will be no Prince of Persia debut in WWE, as the company announced yesterday the show will officially be titled Super Showdown. Where have I heard that name before? Oh no, that one had a hyphen. So this is totally new and original then. Perhaps the bigger news, however, is that the first matches for the show have been revealed, as Triple H will take on Randy Orton, and we'll get the first ever meeting between The Undertaker and Goldberg, which is actually somewhat of a dream match. 20 years ago. Probably not so much now. And there will also be a giant 50-man battle royal, which sounds like a total clusterfuck. As with the previous two Saudi Arabia shows, and because of the country's archaic laws against women, the female wrestlers of WWE will not be part of Super Showdown. And there are still questions in the air over Sasha Banks and her future with the company. Sasha Banks hasn't been seen on WWE TV since she lost her Women's Tag Team Championships to the Iconic at WrestleMania in April. Her tag partner Bayley was drafted in the somehow still ongoing Superstar Shake-Up, When Will You End? And there have been several reports about Banks being unhappy with her position in the company. It's also been reported that Banks tried to quit the company over WrestleMania weekend, and is now happy to just simply sit out the rest of her contract. However, there is every chance that WWE could artificially extend that, the same way they did for Rey Mysterio and Pac when they tried to leave, and are currently doing to Luke Harper and Dash Wilder of The Revival. And now a new report from Tom Colohue of PW and Torch, the same site that broke the news that Dean Ambrose would be leaving WWE when his contract expired last month, says that WWE are willing to promise a lot of things to see Banks return. However, he does add in his tweet, whether they are willing to fulfill those promises remains to be seen. Speaking of Dean Ambrose, and the former WWE star rebranded himself back to Jon Moxley recently via a video on Twitter, leading to a lot of speculation that he is set to join All Elite Wrestling when they head to Las Vegas next month for Double or Nothing. And in a rather interesting interview with Ariel Helwani's MMA show on YouTube, the former Jack Swagger and current day Jack Hager revealed that he's had conversations with All Elite Wrestling about joining the promotion, but says that nothing will happen until the summer as he wants to focus on his MMA training. However, in all of this, he seemed to accidentally spoil that Jon Moxley will debut at All Elite Wrestling's Double or Nothing next Saturday, sort of. Here's what he said.
Well, I think I would be, I don't want to step in Jon Moxley's shadow. I think that's going to be a great debut for him. Hopefully, I'm still keeping my fingers crossed. That's where we see him at.
Now, the second half of that quote, where Hager says that he's got his fingers crossed that's where Moxley will end up, would suggest this is just fantasy booking warfare on his part. However, the first part of that quote, where he said Double or Nothing will be a great debut for Moxley, along with admitting he's had conversations with All Elite Wrestling about coming in himself, could suggest the Mox is on his way to AEW and will debut for the company next Saturday at their first official show. Jon Moxley definitely doing it, 100% definitely happening, 100% for realsy, definitely for reals, 100% for real, 100%, yes, absolutely for 100%. Thank you for watching, and a special thank you to our pledge hammers on Patreon, some of which you can see scrolling their way into my stomach. It's Game of Thrones week over on Screenstalker, and you can watch Laurie Blake talk about what you can expect from the season finale. I've been Luke Owen, and that was wrestling.